Hey guys, it's Pardsful. I also go by Will, and I am back with another. I guess this is just kind of a topic talking video, but this is actually a response video. So I am going to just quickly start off by crediting the original artist of the art that I'm drawing right now, which is drawn by Diesel My Dudes. The original designer of this character was Mercenary Ike on Toy House. But this art in the background is just a redesign that I drew for this character to give to basically a design shelter for characters. They redesign them, or people in the community redesign these characters, who then go to other homes and are adopted by other people. So I figured this would be appropriate since this is technically a form of gift art. But it isn't really related to the actual question I'm answering, but I figured it would be appropriate to show, like, the follow-up from my last gift art piece video, which I did last week, or last month, probably, because I put my stuff up in monthly batches, but yeah. So I wanted to make a response to a comment on that video, and I just wanted to. There's actually two comments, but I can't find the second one. I want to respond to them because I thought they were good comments to respond to, and they gave me some stuff to want to talk about. So Never No Rest responded to my last video with two separate things. One being that the word I might have been looking for was that I didn't feel appreciated with my art, and I do want to correct that a little bit. I never felt unappreciated when I was doing gift art for people when I felt undervalued, because it's not like they didn't appreciate my art, but it was like they were kind of using me for my art because they weren't as fast an artist, or they didn't draw in the style that they wanted to. But that's not that I didn't feel appreciated, because they did appreciate me. It's just they couldn't really afford to, like, I don't want to say pay my prices, but the stuff wasn't equal, and it wasn't really fair, and that was partially on me, but I also just think that I should have valued myself more, is basically the thing. So I did want to correct that it wasn't ever that I didn't feel appreciated. It was that I was underselling myself to a certain extent, and I shouldn't have. And that was partially due to environment, but also partially just because I was trying to do art for validation in a way, and I shouldn't have been doing that. The other thing that they commented was that they get nervous about drawing gift art for two reasons: not getting it right, and there's a concern that, for people online, maybe you get too excited to draw their OC before you can really get to know them, and they didn't want to draw art for someone who turns out to be a terrible person. And I wanted to speak on that particular aspect, in particular, because I've been there. But I will admit that that doesn't stop me from drawing for people. Mostly because I feel like that's kind of approaching gift art in the wrong sort of way. I do absolutely understand where that's coming from. When someone turns out to be a bad person, you've drawn them something, that art sort of becomes, like, tainted, or you get just this bad feeling whenever you look at it, because it reminds you of the bad things that that bad person did. And there's art that I look back on, and I've shown it to friends, and one time I showed it to one of my friends, and I was like, please don't bully me, but this is the art. And they were like, why would I ever bully you? This art is fine. Why would I ever bully you? I'm like, it's kind of cringe. And they're like, it's fine. Like, this is fine art. And I'm like, yeah, but, like, I don't know, I see it as bad. And it wasn't actually bad, but my brain associated it with people who have hurt me, people who, I don't particularly like, and it I can't really separate the art and my feelings from that person. So, it all sort of tangles up. So I understand wanting to avoid that. However, if it is more like you don't want to draw for someone and find out that they're a terrible person because you don't want to be associated with that terrible person, or you don't want to feel like you're supporting them, or if it's a moral thing, the thing that I want to really point out in that aspect is that there is no way for anyone to really know whether someone is a good person or a bad person or a fantastic person or a terrible person. And all of that is like, I don't want to be dismissive, but I see a lot of that as subjective. There's certainly people who I disagree with. There's people who I don't like because I don't like the way that they act or that they've hurt my friends. And yeah, I can think that they are terrible people. But at the same time, um, a lot of that is subjective. And if they are, here's the thing, either someone is a terrible person because they did something actually morally heinous, or they're a terrible person because they did something that crosses your boundaries, and they didn't, they weren't a nice person, they were like, you know cruel or whatever, or they were mean to you or a bully or whatever. And those are kind of like two different things. And the people who are like assholes and mean and bullies, like, yeah, they're pretty crappy people. But generally, they will show themselves to be assholes or jerk faces pretty quickly. And then actually terrible people who are, I don't know what words will get me muted on the YouTubes, but I'm not monetized. People who are abusive, people who, are like morally repugnant, actually malicious instead of just being selfish. And that's the thing. That's the difference between like actually terrible people morally and just kind of being an asshole. If they're malicious as opposed to just being a selfish jerk, you're not gonna know that they're a terrible person because they're probably trying to avoid being seen as a terrible person. And that is not your fault. Like, that is not at all anyone's fault for not knowing that the person's a terrible person. Or you draw something for someone who is a terrible person and you know that they're a terrible person, but, you're kind of ignoring it, in which case, like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I still don't think that you're at fault, but that gets into really weird, complicated situations. But, like, it is never your fault as someone who doesn't know what a person is like. It's never your fault that you do something nice for someone. And I don't want that to be common. I don't want people to, like, have this fear of what if I draw something for someone and they're a bad person? Like, they don't deserve it, sure, but is it that you don't want them to have stuff that you made? Is it that you feel weird about them having art that you drew when they're a bad person? Or is it that you put the moral weight like that on your shoulders? Because a lot of people these days are sort of taking consumption and making it a moral thing when it's really a lot more nuanced than that, and it's a lot more nuanced than even I can articulate. Because I'm just a dude. I'm just a guy. I'm just a person on YouTube, on the internet, drawing art, trying to live, and I don't have the answer to all the moral quandaries, but I also don't think that you should feel bad about getting excited and then someone you know, being malicious and hiding who they are. Like, that's not your fault. That's not, it shouldn't reflect badly on you because you didn't know. And yeah, I get that it'll feel bad. That's definitely a thing that is understandable. But if it's holding you back from potentially doing stuff you enjoy, especially since you specified that you get excited to draw someone's OC, I think that that should be totally valid. You should be allowed to just get excited about someone's character because you like the design without necessarily having the context of whether they're made by a good person who aligns with your values or a terrible person who is an absolute craptastic person. Like, someone else's actions are not your responsibility, especially if it's someone you barely know on the internet, if that makes any sense. And anyone who really does that and, makes you feel bad about it for not knowing every single fact about someone on the internet, they're kind of also being a jerk, because you can't be a mind reader, you're not clairvoyant, and I just think that if drawing stuff for people does make you happy, and you get excited about people's OCs just because you like their design or whatever, I don't think you should feel bad about it if it turns out that the person is a bad person. And it sounds like you're speaking from personal experience, and if that's the case, I'm sympathetic towards that fear and trauma, because I get it. But art should be something that brings you joy. And, maybe I'm totally speaking out of my ass here, and it brings you less joy and more emotional stress finding out later that someone was, terrible. And if that's the case, I understand. But yeah, I feel like I'm going in circles at this point. It's just, I don't think that you should feel bad, because I think that, you should be getting stuff out of it for yourself as well. As stated in my previous video, I do gift art for myself, and other people just happen to benefit from it. And, it's difficult to separate the idea that consumption is, support or creating content for someone who you like is supporting them, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that doing it like that may be actually stifling people's creativity. I don't know all the details of every OC and every artist that I draw for on Art Fight, but I still do it. If it turns out that they're a terrible person, that's... again, I don't want to seem dismissive, but that's really no skin off my teeth. It's not like I knew them. And if I do get to know them, and they end up being absolutely terrible, I mean, I don't support whatever in that case, and it's not my fault, because that's something that they kept from me, But yeah, I don't really know how to conclude this video, but I did appreciate your comments. I thought that they were something to chew on, hence making this video. And I know this is kind of a ramble, so maybe I'll just label this as a ramble video. But thank you for commenting, and for interacting with my video, and for sharing your thoughts. I thought that they were very nice. But if anyone else has any comments about gift art or their feelings, or if anything in this video spoke to you, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll respond to another one through voice if I have the energy to. Maybe. But yeah. And thank you guys all so much for the support. You guys know the drill. Links in the description, yada, yada, yada. And I will send you guys to the outro. Bye-bye. And that's the end of this video. If you like my content, please feel free to leave a like, comment. You guys know the drill. I have all of my links in my description below. And thank you guys so much for the support. Bye bye.